any time period in history, the Second World War, the early modern era, or the Middle Ages. Click on any region of interest, and videos depicting history in that area at that time are brought to you instantly. This video is brought to you by my very own website, armchairhistory.tv.
Oh, that's a good sponsor.
Armchair History TV is the home of uncensored, ad-free, clickbait-free historical content. While our catalog comprises hundreds of the very best history videos on YouTube, it also features, at the time of this recording, 64 completely original videos exclusive to Armchair History TV.
What an interesting decision of him to do that. Don't you want these 64 videos on YouTube to make money?
A week, more and more originals are added to our library, created by dozens of different historical content creators with their own unique visual style and historical perspectives. All of this is accessible for just $4.99 a month.
Thank you.
Our mission is to build an incredible...
Jesus, man, everybody's telling us their life stories.
I am Chinese living in the West, and the attitude of our grandparents is the most warped thing I've seen. They are happy to be peasants and live under the glory of Mao in poverty. So sad.
I get what you're saying, man.
Library of content produced exclusively for Armchair History TV, which would normally suffer from YouTube censorship, demonetization, and view suppression. Support me and the history community by using our code FIGHT.
Now I get it, yeah. I don't know so much about YouTube, but every YouTuber I ever talk to, YouTube is cancer, YouTube is fucking you, YouTube is the biggest censoring, oh, we're so open-minded.
Back for half off of your first month.
They're fucking all these people over, man. So every time before we watch a video, I say what I know. The Iraq War, 2003. Oh god, I'm gonna make a fool out of myself. 9/11 happened, and the George Bush administration was like, hey man, some heads have to roll for this shit, man, okay? It seems like Al-Qaeda was responsible. Where's Al-Qaeda from? They're actually from Afghanistan, right? But then there was pictures shown in Senate. Was it pictures? That Iraq, aka Saddam Hussein, on possession of weapons of mass destruction. And then they felt like, hey, let's fuck them up. Even though the CIA / America has installed Saddam Hussein many years before that. That's my take. And there was never any weapons of mass destruction. It was a fake war. They walked in with a fake war reason and never had to pay any retribution. The whole world, the European Union, oh, America, let me suck your dick, man. No one cared at all. And I remember, I will never forget, I watched an interview with Ahmadinejad and Larry King. And Larry King is like, Ahmadinejad, man, you have a nuke soon, you're really the bad guy. And Ahmadinejad, a guy who the Western media just showed as the most evil guy, he's so bad. Ahmadinejad was sitting there at Larry King, he's like, what the fuck you talking about? You are the ones torturing prisoners in Guantanamo Bay, there's no judge there. You guys invade countries without any fucking real proof, but I'm the bad guy. You guys have thousands of nukes, I'm the bad guy. Blah, blah, blah. That was really interesting. So, yeah, let's watch it. No Kaiser's Betty, -5 stability.
It is April 10th, 2003. F-16 fighters scream to life on a nearby tarmac, while C-130 cargo planes are loaded up with supplies.
They just tried to get the oil.
A handful of soldiers play cards on a makeshift table.
Explain one thing to me, though. I literally want to learn from you guys, because I never cared about this shit. How exactly do you get the oil? So you invade, you take Iraq, you're the boss there. And then you take the oil and ship it to the US? How exactly do you get the oil? What exactly happens? Destroy the market. Ah, you fuck their market, so if someone wants to buy oil, they buy from the US market. That makes sense, yeah. Because if the Middle East is stabilized, that means they can openly sell their oil on the free market and destroy the American oil from Texas and shit. Shit, the whole world makes sense now. Dude, I just had a mind blow. That's why the Middle East is so fucked, because America has destabilized it. So they sell all the oil. Everything makes, oh god.
Trying to distract themselves from the anxiety in the air. They are American, British, Australian, and Polish. All are exhausted by the long approach to the capital, but they know that the fighting is not over yet. As another plane departs for Baghdad, the Australian announces Royal Flush and lays down his cards. The others groan. He's won. But this is no ordinary game of poker. On each card, the face of a high-ranking Iraqi official is printed. They include generals, ministers,
so many people.
And, on the ace of spades, the president himself, Saddam Hussein. It is useful for the soldiers to familiarize themselves with these men.
Well, like Saddam, I don't remember fully, but did he really got a trial and shit? Like, I remember when they got Saddam, I wasn't the age I realized the stuff. I feel like younger, you'd probably never seen it, but Saddam, man, they never let him defend himself. I never heard his take on everything, man. They got him out of a fucking hole, shit. Fake trial? Yeah. And then they hanged him.
Soon enough, they'll be hunting them.
And wasn't Saddam Hussein implemented by the American government? I don't know where I want to go with this, but didn't they? Oh, well, there was a story about this. Thank you, Fosty. Yeah, the CIA made him the boss, and then years later they get him. It's always like this metaphor where America always looks for a scapegoat, so they open their CIA what's it called? Refrigerator, and they're like, who's in there? Oh, Saddam, Gaddafi, who wants to get fucked today? Osama bin Laden, also CIA made. Al Qaeda was CIA made to fight the Russians in Afghanistan.
Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the armchair historian. Today, we will be covering the
to say I wanted to
2003
support Iraq
invasion
against
of
Iran.
Iraq, sometimes referred to as the Second Gulf War, which saw hundreds of thousands of troops committed to an invasion that ended with the deposition of a dictator. While we will cover some of the political background and context of this much-discussed conflict, this video will primarily focus on the combat, maneuvers, and objectives of the momentous invasion that sparked an 8-year occupation and insurgency. But first, if you haven't had
Saddam Hussein made his personal gods wear Darth Vader helmets because his son loved Star Wars. It sounds like a fucking Seth Rogen movie.
the chance to check out our video on the first Iraq War, here is a quick...
Wasn't there a movie where they made fun of Saddam Hussein? Was it Hot Shots? There's a movie that makes fun of Saddam Hussein like crazy. Like he has a little dog and shit. Hot Shots, yeah, Hot Shots. Hot Shots. Hot Shots 2. Hot Shots 2, yeah, great movie, man. With Charlie Sheen. The Dictator,
After
I don't know
it
that
ended
one.
with Iraqi forces being expelled from Kuwait, the US soldiers sought to protect Kurdish and Shiite minorities in Iraq.
Americans protecting Kurds, what? What?
By enforcing no-fly
this
zones
is getting
and
edgy,
launching
boys. This shit is getting
airstrikes
edgy.
against strategic sites such as oil fields and military bases. But following Saddam Hussein's repeated refusal to cooperate with UN weapon inspectors, the United States passed the Iraqi Liberation Act, which officially solidified the goal of regime change in the country. At the time, though, this act simply consisted of...
Again, I'm a fucking amateur. I don't know shit, right? But the way America is doing regime changes has been for many years the CIA infiltrating it, like in South America, right? Nobody's invading South America. You sent the CIA and you fucked them over. So why do you need a full-scale invasion here?
Have provided millions of dollars to numerous...
I mean, people always say it because of the money, right? All the rockets, all the military, that all brings money in and shit.
...opposition groups in the country, with the hope of toppling Saddam's government.
Oil.
But as it turned out, America's interventions in the Middle East...
I cannot discuss educational topics or comedic representation of foreign terrorist organizations or drug trade organizations. Content featuring fleeting imagery related to these groups.
Had already sown the seeds of a new conflict.
Thank you, man.
After the shocking events of President George W. Bush stood before...
You have to bleep out 9/11? What?
Were a wounded nation and officially declared that a new war was about to commence. A war
Thank you, Town Chi. A war on terrorism. He can't say terrorism? Leute, ey. In the next 100 years, we're living in a fucking cyberpunk utopia where Google fucking tells us what to think and shit. I swear to God.
America would now use preemptive force against any governments suspected of consorting with organizations, especially in accordance with what would be remembered as the Bush Doctrine. Within weeks, US forces had begun tearing apart Afghanistan in pursuit of Laden. But when the infamous mastermind of the attacks slipped away, the US turned its attention from Afghanistan to Iraq, where for the past
fucking
12
torturing
years,
people in Guantanamo
Saddam
Bay
Hussein
without
had
any fucking
been perceived
international
as a threat
court,
to
but hey,
American geostrategic interests in the
let's
region.
censor this shit on YouTube,
This
man.
wasn't
My
helped
ass,
by
dude.
his refusal to cooperate
Fucking
with
clown
the
world, I
United
swear to God.
Nations. In late 2002, the United States began building a case against the Ba'athist government of Iraq and sought the support of the UN Security Council.
Thank you, Luca.
On top of the claimed ties,
My dad worked in Iraq for 6 months. He told me people want Saddam Hussein back and that they are sick of the foreign actions there.
To Al-Qaeda, the Bush administration had a laundry list of justifications for armed intervention, including the mistreatment of civilians and the aforementioned expulsion.
I always wondered why the UN has blue helmets. You know, the reason for gear on a soldier is what's the English word? To not be seen, right? To be tactical gear. But the blue helmet, man, an enemy sniper is gonna be like, hey, look, the blue guy in the field.
My first combat deployment was in Iraq. I also love the stream, Tommy.
Thank you, Frosty. Blue helmets means they're never in combat. Ah, okay.
Of UN weapons inspectors. Perhaps foreseeing how controversial these accusations would be in the future, many in the UN Security Council strenuously objected to the proposed invasion, insisting that America pursue a diplomatic solution instead.
Don't tell me they did it anyway.
Even while the council debated, CIA teams were landing in Iraq to lay the groundwork for a full-scale
What do you
invasion.
mean, UN?
The
You little
US had
bitches?
already
You
made
can
up its
suck on our
mind.
American balls.
Saddam's regime was doomed. Moving quickly, members of the Special Activities Division established
the Peshmergas, or those who face death, are guerrilla forces operating in Kurdistan who opposed the Iraqi regime. Many of Saddam's war crimes were targeted at them.
Contact with the Kurdish Peshmergas who opposed Saddam. Then they began identifying key elements of Iraqi leadership. This intelligence would be used to devastating effect in the opening days of the conflict, with surgical airstrikes killing many high-ranking officers. Additionally, the Special Activities Division captured a chemical weapons factory.
You know Toyota produces good vehicles when every insurgency uses them. KEKW.
Thank you, William, for the free. What is that? I don't know that word. Insurgency. Is that like intelligence? What is thank you, sandboxies. Insurgency.
Freedom and democracy.
What? It's a video game? An insurgency is a violent armed rebellion against authority. Terrorists.
Despite Secretary of State Colin Powell's vivid descriptions of mobile weapons laboratories on the backs of trucks and train cars, the facility was the only one of its kind found during the entire Iraq War.
They shoot anyway, they're Americans.
These preemptive strikes did not help America's case to the UN, which continued to call for de-escalation. Key NATO members, such as France and Canada, were also highly vocal in condemning America's aggression. Opposition around the world mounted, culminating with the largest recorded protest in human history when on February 15th, 2003, over 6 million...
Oh, I never heard of that. Wait, February 15th, 2003. I never heard of that. The largest protest in history.
In my life anywhere.
Never even heard of that.
Finally took place. It amazed
New York.
To be participants in a true step.
It really shows how protests don't do anything, right? They didn't give two fucks about that protest. Just stay at home and play World of Warcraft.
800 cities gathered to protest the war. Nevertheless, in March of 2003, the United States and the Coalition of the Willing, which included the United Kingdom, Poland, and Australia, among others, began massing troops in the region. Unlike the war fought 12 years earlier, they would be advancing without UN approval.
If protesting had effect, it wouldn't be loud.
The invasion began
Getting an edgy
slowly.
streamer today,
The first phase consisted of numerous airstrikes and covert raids on targets within the country, with varying degrees of success. One of the first of these was the Battle of Al-Qaeda on March 17th, when units of the British Special Air Service attacked a suspected chemical weapons site housed in a water treatment.
Dude, that's like real life Call of Duty. Yo, soap and fish and peach and fucking knife. Drop at 2200. Enemy tangos 10. Take the chemical plant. That's fucking real life Call of Duty, bro.
Near the Syrian border. But the Iraqi defenders put up an unexpectedly spirited defense, and the commando team was forced to withdraw under heavy fire. Frustrated.
You guys are super equipped. You have all the technology. You train your whole life. And you can't beat a bunch of fucking dudes in a chemical plant? Wow. You should let the Fortnite kids drop in. They might do better.
They called in an airstrike, leveling the entire facility and obliterating any potential evidence that chemical weapons were being held in the facility. Another strike occurred 2 days later at a community just outside Baghdad called Dura Farms. Believing that Saddam was visiting his sons in the area,
dude, how much money they bomb in that country? Holy fuck, man.
8,000 pounds of ordnance
That's your taxpayer money. Jesus.
In an attempt to wipe the Iraqi dictator off the face of the earth.
I always again, I'm obviously just a monkey. I don't know. I always wonder, wouldn't Saddam Hussein just give up there? Wouldn't he just, oh fucking hell, okay, calm down. I mean, America's coming. Like wouldn't he just give up? Wouldn't you just run and go to fucking Switzerland or some shit? My older brother died in the towers when I was 3. After 9/11, schools in the US teach hardcore nationalism, US imperialism, and it's massively glorified. I love my country, but we're going down the starting road of World War II Germany. I want to leave the US soon. God damn. Pretty heavy words, man. Thank you, Lieutenant Doggy. He dug himself into a hole in the middle of the desert and never gave up until he was found in it. He thought he could do a Vietnam.
However, every single satellite-guided warhead missed its target, and as a result, over a dozen civilians were injured and 1 killed. To complete the debacle, it was...
Another question. Again, I don't want to... Just a question. Is there has there ever been trials for this? When the US military makes... what's that called? There's a name for it. There's a name for it. When you don't want to kill civilians, but you kill them. There has never been any trials. Not war crimes. Damage. Collateral damage. Like, isn't there like the International Court of Human Rights in Den Haag who has to investigate this stuff? Was there? I don't have no idea. I have no idea. Didn't they ever open a case and invited some fucking officers? And here at the night of February 9th, you guys hit 20 civilians. Can you explain that? The court martials. The USA doesn't recognize Den Haag. The US does not recognize that court? Oh, makes sense. Otherwise, you'd all be in prison. The US literally shut down...
Later discovered that Saddam's last visit to the area had been nearly a decade ago.
So wait, the USA wants all of NATO to put 5% of the GDP into arms, but they don't even respect our courts, man.
Despite these issues, the main invasion was finally getting underway.
The US put sanctions on all of those that tried.
2%, sorry, 2%. Most observers had expected a lengthy period of aerial bombardment before any ground offensive. However, the coalition instead opted to launch a rapid air and ground campaign that would avoid most urban areas and focus on decapitating the Iraqi government. This tactic,
like
later
America
called
must have
shock
just
and
fucking
awe, was chosen for 2 reasons.
Run them over,
First,
man.
American leaders assumed that if the command structure was eliminated, organized resistance would disintegrate. Second, it was hoped that the civilian population would support the Americans as liberators. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld was particularly optimistic about this, stating, "There will be Iraqis who offer not only to help us, but to help liberate the country and free the Iraqi people."
It's the same arrogancy you saw in Vietnam.
As we will see, this wasn't totally the case.
TommyKay
On the night of March 19th, members of the 160th Airborne, known as the Night Stalkers, destroyed more than 70 Iraqi military outposts along the southern and western borders. With the path cleared, coalition forces advanced from Kuwait into
Since NATO member state Turkey refused to allow American troops to enter through their border in the north, coalition forces instead launched from Kuwait. Thank you, Juspin.
One directed north and one south. A combined air...
Dude, Erdogan would have let them in, right? Erdogan would have let them in and be like, hey, if you give me fucking some cities in the north, we're gonna talk about this. Thank you, Paulano.
An amphibious assault was also launched on the Al-Faw Peninsula on March 20th.
That makes some good deals for some shit.
With the goal of securing the critical oil infrastructure located there. American, British, and Polish commandos all worked tirelessly.
Check out the
when the
film
American army goes ham,
a true story of a British spy trying to stop their invasion by revealing the war was illegal. Would be a film I would recommend for every kid to watch at school.
Thank you for the $3,
Capture
mate.
the offshore platforms before they could be sabotaged by the defenders. Despite significant resistance from entrenched Iraqis supported by artillery fire, the teams were able to secure the peninsula after a grueling 3-day battle. Their efforts likely prevented a major ecological disaster and saved billions of dollars worth of equipment that Saddam would otherwise have destroyed in a petty act of revenge. Unfortunately for the coalition, this would be the last bit of good PR they would receive for quite some time. As we'll see in the Part 2, which is out right now, the war for Iraq was just beginning. And even this initial taste of victory had been soured by the clumsy handling of Al-Qaim and the disaster at Dura Farms. While coalition casualties remained minimal, intelligence failures would continue to plague future operations, muddying the overall picture of the war in Iraq to such an extent that many details remain unclear to this day.
And I'm gonna say something super edgy, but I don't care. I don't give two fucks. One sec, wait for the 1-year sub here with Sint. God damn it.
Happy you stopped playing that trash WoW and keep up the good work, Tommy.
I want to say something, and I said it often on stream. It's very edgy. Germany did very bad things in the past. World War II, World War I, especially World War II, the Nazis. Atrocious, bad. And all Germans feel the pressure of their weight. Every German chat knows it. We feel that pressure, the Holocaust, all that shit. And you know, I'm fully, obviously, for this shame. Obviously. Totally. This is a bad thing, and we all have to think about it. No question. But as I grew up and started to use my own brain, I look around the world. I see Mao Zedong killing 20 million, Stalin killing 40 million, America doing whatever the fuck they want, man. Bah, 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 no fucking trial. And I always, as a young German, wondered, man, why are we the evil guys of the world? Yes, we did fucking atrocious things, but all these other guys do what they want and truck into everybody's fucking face, man. It's because victory writes, the victor writes history. And as a German, I always felt very weird about that. I wear my history, as bad as it is, and yeah, I mean, there's no point how bad it was, but all around the world, they do what the fuck they want, man. You know, it's fucking ridiculous, man. That's because we lost. It just shows how human perception is such a fucking hypocritical fake thing, dude.
The first major engagement began on March 23rd, when a maintenance convoy of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Division took a wrong turn into Nasiriyah,
it's because Germany has the worst
headquarters of the Iraqi 3rd Corps. Caught in a hastily prepared ambush,
among these casualties were Lori Pistiva, the first Native American woman to die while serving the U.S. Army, and Jessica Lynch, whose recovery a week later was highly publicized.
15 of the 18 vehicles were destroyed by heavy weapons fire, and 18 U.S. soldiers were killed or captured. But the strategic bridges over Nasiriyah's modestly named Saddam Canal were secured later that day after men from the 2nd Marine Division stormed the city, suffering heavy casualties.
I always say, I feel like if you are in the Iraqi army, do you really want to wake up in the morning and go to war? Hassan, we have to wake up. Americans are coming. They have triple our technology. And he's just like, yeah, let's go, man. You must be like, fuck. I don't want to fight the Americans, man. Jeez, fuck that shit.
casualties from the determined Iraqi defenders. As if the intense urban combat wasn't enough, 6 Marines were also killed in a friendly fire incident when an A-10 Warthog mistakenly attacked
You fucking monkeys, eh? Dude, it's 2003, man. There's so much technology.
their amphibious vehicle.
Ah, Jesus Christ. Even a rocket?
Finally, on the evening of March 24th, the Marines broke through and established
Maybe that's why Hassan woke up in the morning. Maybe today we can get more friendly fire
a
from
perimeter
Americans.
north of the city, which
my
held
God.
up despite multiple counterattacks by Iraqi forces and the Fedayeen Saddam militia, who were fanatical not only about Saddam, but apparently also about Darth Vader. Further north was the town of
That was the thing that someone chat said. His guard said Darth Vader helmets.
Najaf, which was situated close to highways leading to the important cities of Karbala and Baghdad. Due to its strategic location, coalition forces decided not to bypass Najaf, and instead chose to isolate the town out of fears it could become a staging area for attacks against American supply lines. To accomplish this, the coalition needed to capture the bridges to the north and south of the town. Elements of the 1st Brigade combat team
Kisha's live?
attacked the northern bridge, codenamed Jenkins, in the early hours of March 25th, but made slow progress.
Oh,